Vanderlei Silva has the most profound facial form change in all of MMA. He had his face reconstructed. He had been in so many brawls, his nose had completely flattened, and he had so much scar tissue over his eyes that his eyes were drooping down. That's after the facial reconstruction has settled in. He was an animal. He was so scary.
That guy was so vicious, he gave me two of the worst ass whoopings I ever had.
Nobody was scarier than him in his prime.
Vanderlei Silva ran from a drug test.
They banned him for life for missing a drug test. I think that's straight bullshit.
Anything that's happening to Vanderlei brought on himself. I know it, you know it, and everybody else knows it.
Vanderlei never told his side. And when you hear this, you're going to side with Vanderlei. Here's what happened.
If you love stories about fearless fighters, brutal battles, and legends who gave everything in the cage, this one's for you. Let's talk about Vanderlei Silva. He was born on July 3rd, 1976 in Curitiba, Brazil, raised in a rough, humble place. "This was our bar where I worked for over 10 years. I've been here since I was 3, he once said. From early on, Silva knew violence. He'd been in tons of street fights before even stepping into a gym. At just 13, he started training in Muay Thai at the famous Shoot Box Academy. That's where his wild aggression was shaped into a dangerous weapon. As a teenager, he served in the Brazilian military. His reputation only grew, and soon after, his pro career began in the brutal world of Vale Tudo, a fighting style with almost no rules. In Brazil's underground IVC scene, Vanderlei wrecked people. He won tournaments with savage knockouts, using headbutts, stomps, and violent knees. Fans started calling him the Axe Murderer. That nickname stuck for life. After conquering the Vale Tudo scene, Vanderlei made his UFC debut in 1998. He faced Vitor Belfort. It was a nightmare. Belfort overwhelmed him and ended the fight in under a minute, but Vanderlei didn't stay down. He came back strong with a first-round knockout in his next fight. That got him a title shot against Tito Ortiz. Though he lost by decision, he showed the world he belonged at the top. Still, it was only after leaving UFC for Japan that his legend was truly born. In Pride Fighting Championships, Vanderlei became a superstar. Between 2000 and 2006, he was unstoppable. Undefeated for 5 years, 20 straight wins, and the Pride middleweight title. His style, pure chaos. Relentless pressure, wild punches, brutal knees and stomps. He didn't just win, he destroyed. His trilogy with Japanese icon Kazushi Sakuraba turned him into a villain in Japan and a hero to hardcore fans everywhere. In 2002, he faced Mirko Cro Cop for the first time. Two legends. The tension in that stare-down was unforgettable. The fight, brutal, tactical. Both had their moments, but neither could finish. It ended in a draw, and fans begged for a rematch. Vanderlei kept defending his title and even entered Pride's 2003 middleweight Grand Prix. There he faced a young Quinton Rampage Jackson, and a new rivalry was born. In their first fight at Pride Final Conflict 2003, Silva threw 17 knees straight to Rampage's face, knocked him out cold. That win sealed Vanderlei's Grand Prix title. Rampage later said, "He gave me 2 of the worst beatings of my life. I was hanging on the ropes. That's when he broke my nose," he recalled. Silva wasn't just winning, he was terrifying. He was the face of Pride, a walking storm. Even his stare-downs gave fighters chills. "I think I had my prime back then," Vanderlei said. "I was 21, fought 7 years there, didn't lose for 5. But no reign lasts forever. In late 2004, the unbeatable Silva was tested. He fought heavyweight Mark Hunt, who outweighed him by nearly 80 pounds. Vanderlei lost in a controversial split decision. Even commentators like Bas Rutten and Randy Couture thought he deserved the win. "Didn't think Hunt did enough," they said. "Vanderlei surprised me." Still, the loss was now there. The first crack in his armor. In 2005, he entered another Grand Prix but lost by decision to Ricardo Arona in the semis. It was Silva's first loss in Pride at 205 pounds. He still kept his belt though, and later that year he avenged the loss with a split decision win at Pride Shockwave. But that night was remembered for something even crazier, and it didn't happen in the ring. December 31st, 2005. Moments before Silva's rematch with Arona, chaos broke out backstage. Charles Crazy Horse Bennett, known for being wild, had just been choked unconscious in a scuffle with Silva's jiu-jitsu coach Cristiano Marcello. When Bennett woke up, he sucker-punched Vanderlei Silva, knocked him out cold. "He landed a punch right on my chin," Silva later said. "I woke up and my coach told me, you just got knocked out." This was minutes before my fight. Yet Silva still walked out, still fought, and still won. Only years later did he confirm the backstage knockout in his book. That moment became MMA legend, a symbol of how mentally tough Silva really was. In 2006, his luck ran out again. Cro Cop finally got his revenge, landing a head kick that knocked Vanderlei out cold. One of the most brutal KOs in MMA history. Months later, Dan Henderson also knocked him out and took his Pride title. The cracks were showing. Pride collapsed. Silva returned to UFC. His comeback was huge. First fight, Chuck Liddell, a long-awaited dream match. They went to war for 3 rounds. Silva lost a decision, but fans loved it. Next, a classic KO win over Keith Jardine in under 40 seconds, but the highs didn't last. Rampage knocked him out in their UFC trilogy fight. Then came a loss to Rich Franklin. The years of violence had taken a toll. His face was wrecked, nose shattered, eyes cut open over and over again. By the time he left Pride, he was barely recognizable, so in 2009, Silva went through facial reconstructive surgery. They used a chunk of his rib to rebuild his nose. They cleared scar tissue from his eyes. It wasn't about looks, it was about survival. He needed to breathe, he needed to stop bleeding so easily. After the surgery, he looked like a different person. Even Dana White said it didn't look like Vanderlei anymore. But Silva didn't care about appearance, he just wanted to fight. "I've had over 200 stitches just around my eyes," Silva said. "Now I can breathe and sleep better." In 2010, Vanderlei Silva returned to the cage and faced Michael Bisping. It was a tough fight, but he won by decision. It was proof. He still had fire in him, but injuries were piling up. Then came one of the fastest knockouts of his career. Chris Leben dropped him in under 30 seconds. It was brutal. "Big shot by Leben," the announcer screamed, "trying to finish Silva." He was out cold. Critics started saying it was time for him to walk away. People loved Vanderlei. They respected his warrior heart, but they didn't want to see him get hurt like that anymore. "He's done everything. He has nothing left to prove," Dana White said. "I just don't want to see that happen to him again." But Vanderlei wasn't ready to stop. In 2013, he went to Japan and fought Brian Stann. It turned into a war, the kind only Vanderlei could be part of. Then, in the second round, it happened. A vintage Silva combo. Boom! Stann dropped. Vanderlei jumped on him. Fight over, the axe murderer had won in Japan one last time. It was his final UFC victory. Then came the scandal that changed everything. In 2014, Vanderlei's career was swallowed by controversy. It all started with his rivalry against Chael Sonnen, the loudmouthed American wrestler who loved to taunt him. Vanderlei Silva, 6 feet tall, 205 pounds. "I didn't know they could stack crap that high," Sonnen said. He made threats, trash-talked Brazil, and claimed Silva would be easy to beat. "You are an immigrant. I'm a gangster from America. You sure you want to play that game with me?" Sonnen mocked. It got personal. It got ugly. They were chosen to coach on The Ultimate Fighter Brazil 3. Their real-life hate exploded on camera. At one point, Vanderlei snapped. He charged at Sonnen. A full-blown fight broke out on set, Sonnen said later. "That was real. He was worked up. I didn't want it to happen. But it did." The tension built and the fight was scheduled. But just weeks before it was supposed to happen, everything blew up. Nevada drug testers showed up at Silva's gym. And Vanderlei, he ran. He literally walked out of the gym and drove away. He later admitted he'd been taking diuretics to help heal a wrist injury. And panicked. He didn't know what the test was. He didn't trust the man who showed up. He didn't see any ID. The guy tried to take him into a janitor's closet, asked him to get naked and wanted to draw blood. Silva didn't feel safe. He said, "Get my lawyer. Show me what this says. I don't understand." Then he left for a press conference, but the headlines didn't care. Vanderlei Silva runs from drug test. That's all people saw. And the Nevada Commission? They went nuclear. They banned him for life. The harshest punishment ever for a first offense. Joe Rogan said, "They screwed him. If you think he was cheating, fine him. Ban him for a year. But life? That's insane." The ban was later overturned in court, but the damage was done. Silva's career was in free fall, and he was angry. He released a video announcing his retirement. It wasn't quiet. It was loud, raw, and furious. "They underpay athletes. They don't care if we're injured. They fire us when we can't perform," he said. "They took away my desire to fight. I can't be treated like this anymore." He was done. The UFC sued him for defamation. He later took back the statements. But the relationship was ruined. The bridges were burned. Dana White fired back. "He did this to himself," he said. "He ran from a test. If he's a slave of his own doing." Chael Sonnen later revealed more details. Nobody knew what random testing was back then. They showed up without ID, wanted us to sign stuff, draw blood. Vanderlei just wanted to call his lawyer. That's fair. But none of that mattered now. The man who once ruled Pride was out of the spotlight. In 2016, he returned with Bellator, older, slower, but still fighting. In 2017, he finally faced Sonnen in a real match. The hype was huge. Sonnen, always the trash talker, said he wanted to taste my blood. Come on, man. Dan Henderson knocked the taste out of your mouth 10 years ago. The fight was one-sided. Sonnen used wrestling and controlled Silva for 3 rounds. Decision win. In 2018, Silva fought Rampage Jackson one last time, their 4th fight. This time at heavyweight. Rampage knocked him out. That was probably the end. After that, Vanderlei opened up. He spoke about memory loss, mood swings, insomnia, signs of CTE. He announced he would donate his brain to Science After Death to help future fighters. That same year, he ran for Congress in Brazil. His platform? Sports and health programs for youth. He didn't win, but it was a new chapter, one focused on healing, not hurting. Then, in 2024, the UFC finally gave him the honor he deserved. Vanderlei Silva was inducted into the Hall of Fame. Dana White called him a savage, a legend, a symbol of MMA's golden age. Vanderlei stood there and said, "Thank you to the UFC. What better day to end my career?" He deserved that moment. He finished with 35 wins, 14 losses, 1 draw, and 1 no contest. But stats can't capture who he was. He wasn't just a fighter, he was a storm. He stared fear in the face, and he never backed down. He fought like a man possessed, with rage, with pride, with heart, and he gave us wars we'll never forget. Vanderlei Silva, the axe murderer, will go down as one of the most aggressive fighters to ever live. A true force of nature, a legend forever. A legend forever.